Alright, here we have our Yardman push mower. Getting ready to use it. I don't use it a lot. We've got a little bit of land here, but the Mrs. S is going to help by starting the push mower around the house for me while I'm on the rider. So all we're going to do right now is just check the oil, make sure things are ready to go with it. It's absolutely critical that you're not running it low on oil. It will cause some serious damage to the engine. So always make sure your oil level is good before you start running. I wanted to show you what I found with this mower. It's been surging really bad. It'll surge up and down, tacking up and down. Doesn't mow very well, doesn't run very well like that. What I found to be the most common cause of that, and it'll run great right before it's out of gas. Another indication. What we actually had, you can see where I've got the gasket peeled up here. There's actually two gaskets, two diaphragms here. The top layer was not sealed against the bottom layer. I can't see if I can get close enough to where you can see the two layers where they come together here. All I did was put some crazy glue in there, super glue, seal these two layers of gasket back together. Usually that's what I've found to be the cause of it. It's actually allowing air in to this little diaphragm here, which controls your fuel flow. If you're letting loose air in through this little gap here, even when you've got it tightened down on the mower, it's still letting air through, and that'll cause it to not be able to regulate its air-fuel ratio properly. Another thing I found on this one is actually we've got a split there in this boot and a couple splits on this side. We're going to tape those up with just some electrical tape, seal those up, put her back on, and see if that takes care of the problem. Now I should also mention here that before you apply the super glue to seal these back together, you want to make sure that there's no gasoline oil residue on there. Clean it off with some kind of contact cleaner. Carb cleaner works great, and make sure it's dry. Otherwise the glue is not going to cure properly, it's not going to stick. So now that we've got that done, we can go ahead, put it back into the fuel tank here. And you'll see there's really only one way it can go here. This is just going to fit down through this slot, and everything will line up just right. And then we'll put our screws back in. And always remember, you never want to tighten the screws down all the way until you've got all of them in, all of them started. It makes for a difficult time if they don't line up quite right. There's no play there to readjust. Now that they're all in, we'll go ahead and snug them all down. And you want to do, when you tighten them down, like with a lot of things, you want to tighten them like you're tightening down your lug nuts. You go from one corner, like we'll start up here, go opposite corner, then we'll come back to this side down at the bottom, then we'll go opposite corner up here. And just as much as you can alternate sides. It just helps to give you a good tight seal with your gasket without pinching or bubbling anywhere. And we'll put our little rubber elbow back on. Now that it's taped up, holes are sealed up. will install a fuel tank back on the machine. Now this throttle lever governor linkage just slips easily into the little hole here on your butterfly, and you will have to tilt to get it in there. So we've got a couple of things that all have to line up just right all at the same time. It's not too bad though. That's snug. Snug that. And we will have to reattach our little throttle spring here. That goes in the only other hole there. I'll give you a little better shot of that. Here you can see where the spring actually goes in. It's a little hole right next to governor throttle linkage. All we have left now at this point is put the air cleaner back on and we can fire it up, see if it actually runs well now. For the sharpening part, you can see, I don't know if we can get a good view of the edge there. It's completely rounded off. It's gotten a little old. This blade is actually not the exact blade for this mower, so the length is a little bit too long. So I'm going to go ahead and take the grinder, shorten it down just a little bit. The problem is the grass is binding up between the blade and the edge of the mower deck and causing some extra resistance that we don't want. So we're going to shorten it just a little bit with a good coarse grinding wheel, and we're going to go ahead and polish these edges up. Hopefully that'll really improve the quality of the cut and the ease of operation for us. Okay, I've got a nice coarse wheel here first to go ahead and work on these edges to try to I just want to take a little bit off of here so it's not binding up so much. After that, I'm going to use a flap disc, a little finer, to polish up the edge. This doesn't have to be a razor sharp edge. It's going to dull pretty quick mowing the grass, especially if we hit anything, dirt, dust, rocks, whatever. Just want to polish it up, give it a fresh edge so it cuts a little better. So first, we'll work on taking these edges down just a little bit. Guess I didn't have it clamped quite good enough there. Now you want to try, when you're doing this, if you're going to do something like this, you got to be aware that this thing is pretty well balanced. So I'm not horribly concerned. It's kind of just a quick DIY, but I want to try to make sure I spend about the same amount of time on each end, take the same amount off, so we don't throw the balance way out of whack. I'm also trying to follow the same contours I had on it. I don't want to change the shape too much. I'll try to keep that as close to original as I can. Okay, so there we got it shortened a little bit. Let's go ahead and swap out to the flap disc, touch the edge up. Now this is going to be a pretty light touch. It's rounded off, but it's not going to take much to polish it down. Looks like the cutting edge starts right about here all the way up to the tip. And I'm going to try to keep the same angle that the blade already has all the way through. That's much better. It's still a little rounded off up here. So we'll do the other side and then we'll flip it over and give it a little polish on the bottom there. Alright, now we'll flip it over just to kind of fine the edge up a little bit. We'll do a quick run down the edge on the bottom side. That's much better. That should cut a lot better. Alright, I think it's ready to reinstall. Now all we need to do is get the same shape here as you've got here. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to slip it back in there. This piece is also going to lock in. We'll get this bolt started first to make it a little easier. Tighten it down nice and snug. If you don't have an impact, the easiest way to do it is to stick a piece of wood somewhere in the deck. The blade will catch on it, push against it, and that'll hold it so that you can actually torque it down, tighten it, loosen it, whatever. And that is all there is for that. So we'll take it out and see how it works. All right, now is the moment of truth. We'll see what happens. Actually far better than we were when we began, so I think it's time to cut some more grass. Thanks for watching.